Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to go ahead and remodel or reupholster some kitchen table chairs. We did a remodel on our kitchen and basically the upholstery doesn't match. You might think it looks okay, but colors are not good for the current style of our kitchen. So here we go. So as you can see, we have two chairs here. One I've already taken the bottom off, and on the other chair it's ready to go. It'll be the next one in line. I've already got the cushion on the table, and we'll go ahead and move to that and show you the process there. Alright, here we have the cushion on the table, back side up. There's a ton of staples to remove here. You can see them along the line of the backing fabric. We'll go ahead and get those out. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and just get a regular screwdriver, very thin tip on it, and work my way under the staples as we go around. And lift the staples up so I can pull them out. Work one side at a time, and then after that we'll move on to getting the fabric off. Basically I hit it with the screwdriver, then I take a pair of channel locks and grab a hold of the staples and then pull them up, and that's pretty much the process. Just work my way around the seat. Alright, here we are down to the last couple of staples on the back, the backing fabric, and once we get them out, then basically we move on to the next piece, which is getting the main fabric off, and that is the backing fabric off. So now you can see we got about 300 more staples to go. Well, been pulling off the staples here and trying to get it all pulled up. You know, there might be a better way to do this. You can just tear off the fabric if you're more comfortable with doing that. I'm sure a lot of the staples would come up with the fabric and it would be faster. Like I said, this is just the way I do it, or I'm going to do it since this is really my first time doing this. I would say do it at least on one of them so you could have a template for your chairs if all your chairs are the same. I have a couple chairs with arms on them that I'm going to do. I don't know if I'll show that process or not, but basically they have a little more coping around the stanchions for the arms. So that'd be probably slightly different on the pattern for the fabric that you put back on. And hopefully the foam is good on these chairs because I'm not going to be replacing the foam today. So again, like I said, I'll get all these staples out. Alright, we're kind of getting to the home stretch here on the staple pulling. I tried a couple things actually differently, but this seemed to work the best for me. Basically I just get the thinnest screwdriver I got. Kind of like this screwdriver because it's got a magnetic tip. So if you get down to where you have little bits and pieces, like right here I have a little piece that is stuck in there, and I pull it out, and by the time I get it onto the board I can't seem to grab a hold of it, so basically I just use this and pick it up. Anyway, you get down to the last little bits here, and one of the things I wanted to note, when you get around to all the corners here, they had to gather the fabric as they go around the corners, so they're all pretty well bunched up into the corner. They draw the fabric in. They cut a couple of stress relievers here on the fabric to get around the corners, and then they just bunch it up around the corners. So I'm going to pretty much follow that since I am by no means an upholstery guy. I just am doing this to hopefully help people out. And anyway, get it all freed up so we can see how the cushion looks. Hoping, since these chairs don't get used a ton, that we will be able to use what's underneath here. And the fabric is in pretty good shape. It just doesn't match what we currently have. So there we have it. Last of the fabric. As I said, it's tough to pick these last couple pieces up, so use the magnet. And just feel around the board and make sure that there's no staples sticking up still. Looks in great shape, so I'm going to go ahead and go with that. So basically I'm going to use this piece of fabric as my template to cut out the new piece of fabric. Alright, before we get on to the fabric, I basically wanted to show you some of the tools that I'm going to be using. I got a pair of scissors that are basically going to be used to cut out the fabric, and a knife to kind of trim away the fabric near the end there. The pliers that I've been using to pull the staples out. I got the screwdriver that I'm using to pry up the staples. Then I have a couple other screwdrivers for the screws that I'm taking out and the ones that I'm putting back in, which will be different because I don't really like these square drive screws. And I'd have to buy more if I needed them because there were a couple missing, but basically I had a box of other screws. I think they're cabinet screws that I used. Oops, excuse me, sorry I bumped you guys. Basically that's the screws that I'm going to be using. I got some 5/16 staples that I'm using, and I went out and got a staple gun because I knew there would be a lot of stapling going on here. So now we're going to go ahead and cut out the fabric, and basically all we're going to do is just lay it out over a new fabric. Make sure we match up the edges here. I'm leaving a little bit of extra just so it's easier for me to manipulate the fabric, and then basically just go around and cut out the pattern. The corner cut out. Important to mention that you keep the fabric basically in line the way you want it on the chair. So this is the top of the fabric, that'll be the front of the chair, this is the back of the chair. And probably a good idea to just kind of get a little witness mark here where the fabric is going to be cut out. So I'm just cutting a notch here and a notch there to know where the fabric orients itself in the back of the chair. Backside here is more of a grayish tone. I mean, I guess you could use that if that's what you wanted. We have a little more of a cream color in the kitchen, and some grays and some greens, which the front side pretty much picks up all those colors. Pretty nice fabric. Just got it at a local fabric shop, and this is what actually my wife picked out. So anyway, here we go. You know, get it centered up in the template, front to rear, left to right. You know, make sure you have enough fabric to fold over and be able to staple down on both ends, and get it squared up so it's straight and even. One of the things to look for is the notch that you cut out in the corner, that kind of lines up so you're not too far one way or the other. Stapling the fabric onto the backboard here. So I think as far as the first piece goes, it's pretty much just be straight. Make sure the tension's even on both sides so it doesn't walk one way or the other after you staple it down. Get a staple in, here comes some noise, and that's basically the beginning. I like to pull it, get it tight. I think it looks pretty good there. So basically just run some staples across. So again, we're getting it pretty tight there. And you want to stay shy of the edges there, so when you come around the corner you can go ahead and basically fold over your fabric and get it worked into the position that you want it. That should probably be okay. Two more over there. Then we'll turn it around, we'll start working our way on the back side here. Basically get the center going, get the tension we want. I don't think you want it wire tight here so it's pulling on the fabric, but you just want it taut. Basically staple that in. I'll grab my scissors here. And already, as you can see, the back is curved, so it's going to take some coping around the corner here to get it all worked in. And so basically what we'll do then is, as we start stapling, we'll just go ahead and pull the fabric into the corner here and just start pulling it in. I guess another thing that's important to note is that when you're putting it in, the staples are kind of about an inch in from the edge. That matches the framework on the chair itself. Not so important here, but it is important when you put the backing fabric over this. But you want to be a further in from there, from that edge, so you can get the backing fabric on. It'll cover up most of the staples, so when you turn the chair over, you don't see a bunch of staples. So we'll just cover that piece, and I think you get the idea. Again, we'll work down the sides, we'll fold over the corners here, get a nice seam in the front corner. That'll probably look something like this, but we'll work it out. As soon as I get to that piece, then we'll figure that part of it out. But basically, the corner will be a fold like that. I'll make it look pretty when it's done here. Anyway, we'll work through this. And let's see, cut out the edge there when I get down. What they do is they do a relief cut, it looks like, from the old fabric. You can see it. Basically what they do is they do a relief cut in the corner here, and they use a strip of fabric to pull into the back sides, and this goes on either edge. So hopefully you guys can see that. See, they basically cut out a strip and then work that corner in. So that's what we're going to try to do here. Make sure we get it even. I think I'll cut out another piece this way, and I'll run that first line to that other edge. And then we'll do that second line to the inside edge. I want to be careful when I get there because I don't want to cut off too much fabric. I want to draw the fabric into the center here. So basically all I'm doing is cutting out this piece of the fabric here. I don't know if you can see that, but cutting out basically a thin strip of fabric here to go into the inside pocket there. And I think that'll cover it. So basically what we'll do here is we'll go ahead and pull this piece of fabric in, get a couple staples on it, and then we'll work this last piece around. And don't worry about if there's some exposed foam there, because basically what's going to end up happening is you're going to staple this piece down here. But the wood of the chair will actually pull that in, and you'll actually see that it'll hold it in. You won't see it after the piece is finished. But again, basically we're just going to staple down the rest of it, get that all done. And then what I'll end up doing is I'll go around and I'll trim off all the fabric like this, and basically get rid of the overlap. I had to really get my hands in there on the corners here to put that in, fold it over. A little bit of a challenge getting it exactly the way I liked it. But overall, I think it came out pretty good. Most of the chairs that are inside already look like that anyway. These corners in the back here, they'll kind of get molded in when you put it into the chair. Let's get the backing on. So here is the backing. It's already folded. It was the way it was originally. I think probably the most important part is getting these back corners in square and even, and the fronts, make sure it all looks good. They were pretty close to the edge on these anyway when they stapled them down, so I'll try to do the same thing. I think that'll cover it. Bring the chair back over. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. Alright, let's just fit it up. So yeah, so that's basically how it's going to look. Looks pretty good. I'll drop the 4 screws in. Make sure it's snug in there. Tight left to right, alright. And then we just draw them down. They don't have to be super tight, otherwise the screws will pull through. I just kind of go about a half turn more once I feel it seat up. Seems to pull in pretty nice. Very solid now. And here we go. There's the final product. Lighting's not terribly great, but yeah, get it back here a little bit so you can see it. But anyway, whew, almost lost you there. So that's the chair. No real wrinkles in the side or anything. A little bit in the back, but I looked at the other chairs and they were kind of that way too. Maybe I could have done a little bit better on that. See how that goes in the next round. But overall, sides and front all look pretty good. So thanks for hanging out with me, checking out the upholstery. Hope this helps somebody. Have a great day.